I was sitting in my cramped flat in Norwich, nursing a lukewarm cup of tea, when the news hit my inbox. Something big, literally cosmic. Somewhere out there, between Mars and the Sun, an object the size of Manhattan was doing something no one had ever seen before. It was growing a tail. Now, I know what you're thinking. Big deal. Comets do that all the time. But this wasn't your garden variety comet. This was 3E Atlas, the third confirmed visitor from another star system to enter our solar system. And according to Dr. Adrian Lowe, a respected astrophysicist from Cambridge, this tail might be a sign that the thing was maneuvering like a spacecraft, not just a chunk of ice and rock. Picture this: 3E Atlas already had what scientists call an anti-tail, a plume that pointed forward, defying the usual physics. It's like seeing a car driving down the motorway with exhaust shooting out the front. Weird, right? But now, as it hurtled toward its closest approach to the Sun on October 29th, it was growing a traditional comet tail streaming behind it. This anti-tail-to-tail transition wasn't just a curiosity. If Lowe was right, we might be watching the first-ever evidence of an alien spacecraft performing a braking maneuver and then pushing forward. Multiple observatories were tracking this thing in real time. The Nordic Optical Telescope in the Canary Islands caught the transition in September, and the Gemini South Telescope in Chile snapped the clearest images ever captured of an interstellar visitor. NASA's Mars orbiter even grabbed shots when 3E Atlas zipped within 12 million miles of Mars earlier in the month. Those images, the best we've ever had, were locked away thanks to a government shutdown. Typical. But even without those, what we were seeing was extraordinary. On October 29th, 3E Atlas would reach perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, at about 130 million miles away. For context, that's roughly 1.5 times the distance between Earth and the Sun. Normally, comets get pretty lively at that range, jets of gas and dust exploding off their surfaces, tails stretching millions of miles. And sure enough, 3E Atlas was putting on that show. But the sequence of events leading up to this moment had everyone scratching their heads. First, the anti-tail. Instead of a tail trailing behind, the object had a plume shooting ahead, like a spaceship firing thrusters to slow down. Analysis showed the plume contained a nickel alloy that didn't occur naturally, something only human industry has ever made. Now, you might say, maybe nature's got tricks we don't understand. Fine. But then the anti-tail faded and the traditional tail appeared, exactly as you'd expect if something had finished braking and was now accelerating toward the Sun. I couldn't help but feel like I was watching the universe's slowest and most dramatic parking maneuver. Scientists had added 3E Atlas to their official watch list, not because it posed any danger, but because it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to study an interstellar visitor in detail. Unlike Oumuamua, which zipped through back in 2017 before we could really get a good look, 3E Atlas had been visible for months, giving us time to study its bizarre behavior. One thing that baffled everyone was how active it was so far from the Sun. Most comets don't start spewing water until they're closer than Earth is to the Sun. But 3E Atlas was blasting out 40 kilograms of water every second at distances where it should have been frozen solid. The secret was its high carbon dioxide content, 8 times more CO2 than water. Carbon dioxide can sublimate, that's space talk for turning directly from ice to gas at much lower temperatures, so that explained the early activity. But as it got closer, the water was going to kick into overdrive, making the tail grow dramatically. Scientists were gearing up for a spectacle, redirecting telescopes from all over, even those on spacecraft headed to Jupiter, to catch every moment. I had to admit, the idea that this thing might be an alien spacecraft doing some kind of cosmic flyby was thrilling. But I kept reminding myself, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Still, I found myself glued to updates, waiting for the moment 3E Atlas would reappear from behind the Sun in early November. Would it look like a regular comet or something else entirely? And just when I thought the universe had given me enough to chew on, I learned the highest resolution images from Mars were still locked away. The government shutdown was really killing the cosmic party. But knowing what I know now, I can't stop thinking, what if this is just the opening act? What if 3E Atlas isn't alone? What if the galaxy is teeming with mysterious visitors hiding in plain sight? The universe was whispering secrets, and for once, I was listening. The morning after I first heard about 3E Atlas, I found myself wandering the quiet streets of Norwich, trying to wrap my head around the scale of what was happening. It's one thing to read about a strange object millions of miles away, but quite another to feel the weight of it press on your imagination. Imagine something the size of Manhattan, yes, that sprawling mass of skyscrapers, yellow cabs, and overpriced coffee, hurtling through space, a relic from another star system, possibly billions of years old, and maybe even piloted by something or someone. I tried picturing the object itself. The visible part was surrounded by a glowing coma, a hazy cloud of gas and dust like a cosmic halo. The tail was just beginning to unfurl behind it, a delicate, shimmering veil stretching millions of miles. But more than the sheer size or beauty, it was the details that got me. The metallic shimmer of that mysterious nickel alloy, the forward-facing plume that defied all natural logic. It was as if this ancient wanderer was wearing a sleek, space-age trench coat over its icy core. On the news, they interviewed Dr. Adrian Lowe. The man was a bit of a character, always in rumpled shirts with a stubbly beard and glasses perched precariously on his nose. He explained that comets are usually fragile, dusty snowballs that crumble under the sun's heat. But 3E Atlas had survived billions of years in the harsh vacuum of interstellar space, enduring cosmic radiation, collisions with dust, and who knows what else. Yet here it was not just intact but active and seemingly purposeful. There's something poetic about it, Lowe said. Like a cosmic snowflake that refuses to melt. I chuckled to myself. Cosmic snowflake? Huh? I half expected him to pull out a teacup and toast the heavens. But the questions kept piling up. If 3E Atlas was just a comet, how did it develop that manufactured nickel alloy? Meteorites have nickel and iron, sure, but this alloy was a blend only made in labs and factories here on Earth. Could nature really be that sneaky? Or was this an engineered artifact? An ancient spacecraft silently cruising through the galaxy? That idea felt like a plot twist from a sci-fi novel, but scientists were taking it seriously. They'd been watching the anti-tail-to-tail transition in real time, tracking the plume's direction, the changing chemistry, and the way the object seemed to slow down before accelerating again. It was like watching a driver expertly navigate a hairpin bend. Except this driver was millions of miles away and probably had zero concern for speed limits. I decided to dig deeper. I found myself scrolling through forums where amateur astronomers compared notes, debating whether 3E Atlas was just a comet or the universe's best-kept secret. Some joked it was a space junk UFO. Others called it the cosmic mystery meat. One user even suggested it might be an interstellar tourist bus with alien tourists complaining about the legroom. The more I read, the more I realized that this wasn't just about rocks or ice. This was about the unknown, about whether humanity was finally catching a glimpse of something truly alien. And unlike the flashy Hollywood scenarios, alien invasions, laser beams, and government cover-ups, this was subtle, quiet, and maddeningly ambiguous. That night, as I looked up at the starry sky from my small backyard, I wondered what 3E Atlas was doing right now. Was it adjusting its course, firing invisible engines, or simply drifting like a cosmic ghost? The tail was growing, the sun's radiation battering it relentlessly. Whatever it was alive in a way no comet should be. And then a thought hit me. What if this was just the beginning? What if 3E Atlas was a scout, a herald, a message in a bottle sent across the eons? I shivered, partly from the chill of the autumn air, partly from the thrill of the unknown. But as I turned back inside, my phone buzzed with an alert. NASA's Mars orbiter images were still under embargo. The highest resolution shots of 3E Atlas, locked away by red tape out of reach. It felt like the universe was teasing us, showing its cards but keeping the ace hidden. I poured myself another cup of tea and settled in, waiting for the cosmic curtain to rise again. Because when 3E Atlas reappeared from behind the sun in a few weeks, everything could change. And if it didn't, well, at least we'd still have a good story to tell. Or maybe, just maybe, the real story hadn't even started yet. I spent the next few days glued to every update, every twitch of data coming in from telescopes around the world. The small town of Ely, with its ancient cathedral looming over flat fields, felt a million miles away from this cosmic drama unfolding billions of miles above our heads. Yet here I was, a regular bloke caught up in something extraordinary. The images from the Nordic optical telescope had shown that shift, the anti-tail fading, the traditional tail blossoming behind 3E Atlas like a shimmering ribbon. It was almost poetic, if you liked your poetry sprinkled with cosmic dust and mysterious metal alloys. The anti-tail had pointed ahead, like the comet was firing thrusters to slow down, and now it trailed behind, as if it had finished braking and was accelerating inwards. Dr. Lowe's theory was gaining traction. Maybe this wasn't a comet at all, but some kind of spacecraft executing a controlled maneuver. I pictured it as a sleek, interstellar ship cloaked in ice and rock, hiding in plain sight. The nickel alloy in the plume was the smoking gun, something forged, not found. But of course, not everyone bought it. The scientific community was divided. Some called it fascinating but natural. Others whispered about aliens behind closed doors. I could almost hear the academic equivalent of, "Nah, you're just seeing things" versus, "Hold my tea. This is huge." Meanwhile, I couldn't stop thinking about what this object must look like up close. The coma, the glowing halo around the nucleus, was a swirling dance of gas and dust, illuminated by the sun's glare. It was probably coated in frost and ice, but beneath that, maybe smooth, metallic surfaces, edges too precise for nature. Something designed. And then there was the tail itself, growing longer and brighter by the day. I imagined it as a shimmering veil of sparkling particles, catching the sunlight like a cosmic curtain billowing in a solar breeze. It wasn't just a tail, it was a statement, a signature. The strangest part? The object was spewing water at distances where water should be frozen solid. At nearly twice the Earth-Sun distance, 3E Atlas was blasting out 40 kilograms of water every second. Most comets only get that lively when they're much closer. The secret was its rich carbon dioxide content, 8 times more CO2 than water, which sublimated at much colder temperatures, driving the early activity. The water would kick in as it got closer. I found myself grinning at the absurdity of it all. Here I was, an average bloke, geeking out over a tail in space and the possibility that it was the universe's slowest, most elegant spacecraft. To add to the suspense, the highest-res photos from the Mars orbiter were still under lock and key. Scientists were frustrated, desperate to see details that might reveal the object's true nature. Whether it was a jagged, irregular chunk of ice or something unervingly symmetrical, maybe even engineered. That night, I imagined an alien pilot, or whatever was behind 3E Atlas, peering through some cosmic windshield, watching our little blue planet spin far below. Maybe they were as curious about us as we were about them, or maybe we were just a blip in their long voyage through the stars. I poured myself a drink, leaned back, and stared at the ceiling. It was a strange feeling, caught between excitement and unease. Was this the first whisper of contact with another civilization? Or just a freak of nature masquerading as a cosmic enigma? Either way, the countdown to October 29th was on. Perihelion, the moment 3E Atlas would swing closest to the sun. The moment when its tail would erupt in full glory, when the sun's fury would test its resilience, and when the universe might finally reveal its secrets. And through it all, I was just a guy from Ely, watching the skies and waiting for the moment the stars might speak. The night before October 29th, I found myself standing outside my flat in Ely, wrapped in a thick coat against the crisp autumn air. The sky was a tapestry of stars, cold and indifferent, but somewhere out there, 3E Atlas was racing toward the sun, its tail growing longer by the hour. I felt like a spectator at a cosmic show, waiting for the curtain to rise on the most mysterious act yet. I checked my phone again. Still no sign of those Mars orbiter images. It was maddening. The best shots humanity had ever taken of an interstellar visitor, stuck in bureaucratic limbo. You'd think with all this cutting-edge tech we'd be able to get the data instantly. But no, red tape and government shutdowns had other plans. I half-joked to myself that the aliens must be laughing at our paperwork. Meanwhile, scientists were preparing for the perihelion passage like it was a lunar landing all over again. Telescopes from Hawaii to Chile to the Canary Islands were pointed skyward, ready to catch every photon of light, every flicker of activity. Spacecraft en route to Jupiter were being tasked to pivot their instruments and watch the unfolding drama. Dr. Lowe's voice echoed in my mind. If this is artificial, perihelion is the perfect moment for a course correction. Hidden from our eyes behind the sun's blazing glare, I imagined 3E Atlas slipping behind the sun like a stealthy spy ducking into the shadows. Maybe it would fire its engines, adjust its trajectory, or reveal something that would rewrite everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. The tail was expected to explode in size, stretching millions of miles as the sun's heat vaporized ice and dust. But would it behave like any other comet? Or would it do something unexpected? Something deliberate? The idea sent a shiver down my spine. At the same time, I thought about the composition. The overwhelming carbon dioxide, the water spewing far from the sun, the cyanide, yes, cyanide, emissions that were unusually high. Cyanide is nasty stuff, but in the right context, it's involved in forming amino acids, the building blocks of life. Could this object be carrying the seeds of life? Or at least the ingredients? Or could that cyanide be part of some exotic propulsion system, fueling jets we couldn't see? I felt like I was reading the universe's diary but only getting cryptic entries. Every page raised more questions than answers. I glanced up again. The stars seemed sharper tonight, as if they were watching me back. I wondered if somewhere out there, someone was watching 3E Atlas too. Maybe an ancient civilization lost to time, their legacy hurtling through the void. Or maybe I was just losing my mind. The next few days promised revelations. Would 3E Atlas survive the sun's close embrace? Would it fracture, explode, or vanish in a burst of light? Would it emerge altered with a new tail, a new trajectory, a new story? And most hauntingly, would it reveal whether it was a natural wanderer or something far more extraordinary? I sighed, hands shoved deep in my pockets, and whispered to the night, "Show me something real. Show me the truth. Because whatever happened next, it was going to change everything." October 29th dawned cold and clear over the sleepy town of Whitby, where the sea mist curled like ghostly fingers around the old abbey ruins. I sat by the window of the tiny cafe on the corner, nursing a black coffee that had long since gone lukewarm, my eyes flicking between the news feeds and the live data streams from observatories worldwide. Today was the day 3E Atlas would make its closest approach to the sun, perihelion, the moment that could shatter our understanding or simply confirm the mundane. The atmosphere in the scientific community was electric, a mix of nervous anticipation and cautious excitement. Dr. Lowe's tweets were lighting up my feed with updates, his usual dry wit cutting through the tension. If 3E Atlas pulls a cosmic Houdini today, I hope it doesn't vanish into thin air, would ruin my morning coffee. I smiled. Even amidst all this uncertainty, the man had a way of making astrophysics feel like a pub chat. The telescopes were trained like hawks, capturing every flicker from the comet's glowing coma. The tail, now a magnificent plume stretching millions of miles, shimmered with particles dancing in the solar wind. But then, something unexpected happened. Data from the Gemini South telescope showed a sudden brightening, a flare, like a cosmic fireworks display. The tail seemed to pulse, elongate, and then distort, as if an invisible hand had reached out and tugged at it. Scientists scrambled to interpret the signals. Was it a fragmentation event? A burst of sublimating material? Or something more deliberate? At the same time, preliminary images from NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, SOHO, started trickling in. Though low resolution, they confirmed the tail's sudden growth and the comet's increased activity. But more intriguing was a subtle shift in 3E Atlas's trajectory. Slight, almost imperceptible, but definitely there. Could the comet be adjusting its course? I leaned forward, heart pounding. This wasn't just a rock melting in the sun anymore. This was a performance, a message, a mystery unfolding in real time. Meanwhile, online forums buzzed with speculation. Some called it a natural outburst, others whispered about alien technology. A user named Stargazer42 posted a cheeky meme. "When your comet has better moves than you at the office party." I chuckled despite the tension. Maybe the universe had a sense of humor after all. As the day wore on, more observatories reported similar anomalies. jets of gas spewing in unexpected directions, brightness variations that defied simple rotation models, and the unmistakable signature of that strange nickel alloy in the plume. It was like 3E Atlas was alive, reacting, maybe even communicating. By evening, the object had slipped behind the sun's blazing disk, disappearing from view. For the next 2 weeks, we'd be blind, forced to wait and wonder. I closed my laptop, stepping outside into the crisp night air. The stars above twinkled coldly, indifferent to our hopes and fears. But I knew that once 3E Atlas re-emerged in early November, the universe would either reveal its secrets or deepen the enigma. And somewhere deep inside, I felt that nothing would ever be the same again. The days that followed felt like an eternity trapped inside a snow globe. Whitby's usual bustle faded into a quiet hum as everyone seemed caught between hope and uncertainty. The sun was a blinding wall in the sky, and 3E Atlas was hidden behind it, out of sight but not out of mind. Scientists called it solar conjunction, but to me it felt like the universe had pressed pause on the greatest mystery of our time. I spent those 2 weeks poring over every article, every snippet of analysis, and every speculative theory I could find. Theories ranged from the mundane, thermal stress causing fragmentation, to the wildly speculative, an alien ship using the sun's glare as cover to perform evasive maneuvers. I even found some conspiracy theorists claiming it was a government cover-up designed to distract us from more important news. I raised an eyebrow and thought, if they're going to hide alien spacecraft, they're going about it with all the subtlety of a soggy biscuit. Meanwhile, the scientific community was in overdrive behind the scenes. Observatories around the world had coordinated campaigns to prepare for 3E Atlas's reappearance. Spacecraft instruments, like those aboard the Juno probe near Jupiter, were recalibrated to catch every photon possible. Everyone knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Then came the whispers, leaks from within NASA and ESA hinting that the Mars orbiter images might be released soon. Rumors swirled that these photos could finally reveal the nucleus's shape, surface features, and maybe, just maybe, signs of something artificial. But nothing concrete emerged, leaving us dangling on the edge of revelation. During this waiting game, I found myself drifting into late-night conversations with fellow stargazers online. We shared theories, fears, and jokes, like imagining 3E Atlas as some cosmic tourist complaining about solar weather and poor Wi-Fi. One user joked, "Bet it's just lost and asking for directions back to Alpha Centauri." But beneath the humor was a shared sense of awe. We were witnessing something unprecedented, a brush with the unknown that stretched across billions of years and light years of space. On the 15th day, as dawn broke over the North Sea, the first signals came in. 3E Atlas was emerging from behind the sun. Telescopes instantly reoriented, cameras started rolling, and scientists held their breath. The images that streamed in were like nothing we'd seen before. The tail had exploded in size, brilliant, billowing, and oddly structured. There were hints of jets and plumes, but also strange, sharp-edged features that didn't quite fit the usual cometary mold. And the brightness? It had nearly doubled, outshining expectations. Spectroscopic data revealed shifts in composition. Some volatiles had depleted, while others surged unexpectedly. The nickel alloy signature persisted, stubborn and unexplained. But the real shock came when trajectory analyses showed a subtle but undeniable deviation. 3E Atlas wasn't just drifting on a predetermined path. It was making adjustments, small but deliberate. The scientific community was stunned. The question on everyone's mind was no longer, is it artificial? But, what is it trying to do? As I closed my laptop that morning, a chill ran down my spine. We were no longer mere observers. We were participants in a cosmic dialogue, one that had begun billions of years ago, and was only now reaching us. And somewhere, out there, 3E Atlas was moving on. Its secrets still tightly held, its purpose still a mystery. But one thing was clear. The universe had just raised the stakes. In the days following 3E Atlas's return from behind the sun, the atmosphere among astronomers and enthusiasts alike shifted from cautious curiosity to a tense, almost electric anticipation. I found myself waking up at odd hours, refreshing data feeds, trying to catch the latest updates from observatories scattered across the globe. From the quiet corners of Whitby to the high-tech control rooms in Cambridge, everyone was watching, waiting. The images that poured in were both breathtaking and baffling. The tail, now a vast, shimmering plume stretching millions of miles, flickered with strange patterns. Jets of gas that pulsed rhythmically, as if the comet had a heartbeat. The usual irregular shapes of dust clouds twisted into sharp, almost geometric forms that defied the natural chaos I expected. It was like staring at a masterpiece painted by a cosmic artist who didn't quite follow the rules. Dr. Lowe appeared on a live broadcast, his eyes bright behind his glasses, voice tinged with excitement and a hint of disbelief. We're seeing activity that's unprecedented. The composition is shifting, the brightness is fluctuating beyond normal expectations, and, most intriguingly, the trajectory is subtly changing. If this is a natural comet, it's rewriting the textbooks. If not, well, then we might be looking at something truly extraordinary. I couldn't help but imagine 3E Atlas as a silent voyager, a lone traveler from a star system long gone, carrying secrets encoded in its ice and metal. The nickel alloy, still detected in the emissions, was a constant reminder that this wasn't just a frozen rock drifting aimlessly. One evening, as the sky darkened and the stars blinked awake, I took a walk along the beach. The cold sea breeze tangled my hair, and the waves whispered their ancient secrets. I thought about the sheer age of 3E Atlas, 7 to 10 billion years older than our sun, older than the Earth itself. It had journeyed through the galaxy, perhaps passing countless stars, drifting in the cold void, and now it was here, in our backyard. A sudden thought struck me. What if 3E Atlas wasn't just passing through? What if it was looking for something? Not just any planet, but one like ours, blue, vibrant, teeming with life. The very idea sent a thrill up my spine. Back at home, I was scrolling through the latest spectroscopic data when I noticed something odd. A series of periodic brightness spikes, too regular to be random, almost like a signal. My heart raced. Was this just an artifact of measurement, or was 3E Atlas trying to say something? I shook my head, trying to ground myself. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Still, the possibility lingered. As the comet continued its journey, cutting through the solar system, scientists prepared for the next crucial phase, tracking its exit trajectory after perihelion. Any further deviations could confirm or shatter theories about its nature. And then came the whispers of a new mystery. Strange emissions detected in radio frequencies, faint but unexplained. Could they be natural phenomena, or something else entirely? I closed my laptop and looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, 3E Atlas was racing away from the sun, its tail shimmering like a cosmic beacon. And I was left with one burning question. What did it want from us? The universe was speaking in riddles, and we were only beginning to learn the language. The nights grew colder as November settled over Whitby, but the heat of excitement inside the global scientific community was unmistakable. The world's largest telescopes, from Mauna Kea to La Palma, were locked onto 3E Atlas, capturing every flicker of light, every spectral signature, every subtle shift in its course. The comet, or whatever it truly was, had become the most watched object in the sky, a silent enigma draped in a glowing veil of gas and dust. One evening, I was invited to a small gathering at the local observatory, a modest dome perched on the outskirts of town. The astronomers there had been part of the international effort to study 3E Atlas, and they welcomed me with a mixture of curiosity and camaraderie. I wasn't a scientist, just an avid observer, but they seemed glad to share their passion and worries with someone who cared. Dr. Helen Carter, the lead astronomer, was a striking woman in her early 40s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a laugh that cut through the tension. She wore a tailored black jacket over a deep crimson blouse, the sleeves rolled up to reveal delicate silver bracelets that caught the light like tiny stars. Her presence was commanding yet warm, as if she could see through space and time but still enjoyed a good joke about cosmic dust. She showed me the latest data on a large monitor, graphs, images, and spectra that looked like abstract art. 3E Atlas is defying expectations again, she said. Its tail structure is evolving, responding to the sun's radiation in ways we don't fully understand. And those brightness fluctuations? They're becoming more regular, almost like a pattern. I asked if anyone had considered the possibility of a signal, something intentional. Helen smiled wryly. Of course, we're scientists, but we're human too. We want to believe. The question is, what would that signal look like? And more importantly, how would we recognize it? She tapped the screen, highlighting a series of spikes in the data. These could be natural outbursts, jets of gas from volatile pockets, or something else. As we talked, I noticed her fingers nervously twisting a thin silver ring shaped like an infinity symbol. It was a small detail, but somehow it made the cosmic mystery feel a little more human. Later, as I stepped outside into the cold night, the sky was clear and the stars blazed brightly. The Milky Way stretched overhead like a glowing river of light. Somewhere in that vastness, 3E Atlas was speeding away, its tail still shimmering in the fading solar glow. I thought about the implications. If this object was artificial, if it carried technology from an ancient civilization, what did that mean for us? Were we being watched? Studied? Or was this just a cosmic relic, a message in a bottle lost in space and time? A sudden gust of wind whipped past, and I shivered. Maybe the universe wasn't ready to answer yet. Maybe some mysteries were meant to linger, teasing us with glimpses but never revealing everything. As I walked back to the observatory, the thought struck me. The tale was beautiful, yes, but it was also a warning. A sign that the cosmos was far stranger and more complex than we dared imagine. And as 3E Atlas disappeared into the darkness, I knew one thing for certain. This was far from over. The days grew shorter, and the chill in the air deepened as November edged toward winter. In the cozy confines of my Norwich flat, I found myself caught between fascination and unease. The story of 3E Atlas had evolved from a distant curiosity into a profound enigma that refused to be ignored. Reports streamed in from observatories worldwide. The tale's brightness was fluctuating unpredictably, jets of gas erupted in sudden bursts, and, most puzzlingly, subtle but deliberate course corrections hinted at a level of control no comet should possess. Dr. Helen Carter's team had detected what they called anomalous signals, faint radio emissions unlike anything natural, pulsing with a rhythm that teased the edges of intelligibility. Late one evening, I received an unexpected message from a fellow astronomy enthusiast I'd met online, someone calling themselves Skywatcher. They claimed to have analyzed the radio data independently and found patterns resembling prime numbers, a universal language in the cosmic code. The idea that 3E Atlas might be trying to communicate was both thrilling and terrifying. As I pondered this, I couldn't escape the image of 3E Atlas itself. A colossal, ancient voyager, cloaked in ice and metal, hurtling through the void with secrets billions of years old. Its surface, scarred by cosmic radiation, might hide technology far beyond our understanding. Or perhaps it was a relic, a ghost ship adrift on a cosmic ocean. That night, I stood beneath the vast expanse of stars, the Milky Way arching overhead like a luminous bridge spanning eternity. I whispered a question into the darkness. What do you want to tell us? The silence was absolute. But then my phone buzzed. A news alert. NASA was finally releasing the Mars orbiter images, the highest resolution photos of 3E Atlas ever captured. The images were stunning. Up close, the nucleus was irregular but showed strange features, linear grooves, geometric facets that defied natural explanation. Shadows hinted at structures that looked engineered, though the resolution wasn't enough to be conclusive. The nickel alloy appeared concentrated in certain regions, as if forming a framework beneath the icy surface. Scientists were cautious but intrigued. Some called it the smoking gun. Others urged restraint. The debate ignited anew. As I scrolled through the images, a chill ran down my spine. This was no ordinary comet. Whether relic or spacecraft, 3E Atlas was a message, a cosmic riddle waiting to be solved. And yet, even as the world grappled with the implications, 3E Atlas was already moving away, slipping silently toward the outer solar system, its secrets retreating into the darkness. I closed my eyes and imagined its journey. Past Mars, through the asteroid belt, beyond Jupiter's orbit, eventually leaving our solar system behind. But where was it headed? And would it ever return? The mystery deepened. And I knew one thing for sure. This was just the beginning. The universe had opened a door, and none of us knew what awaited on the other side. The weeks turned into months, and 3E Atlas faded into the distant reaches of our solar system, retreating toward the stars it once called home. But the echoes of its passage lingered, sparking debates, igniting imaginations, and challenging everything we thought we knew about the cosmos. In the quiet of my Norwich flat, I found myself haunted by questions with no answers. Had we witnessed the slow dance of an ancient spacecraft, a cosmic envoy from a civilization long vanished? Or was it simply a comet, strange but natural, teasing us with anomalies born of physics we barely understood? The Mars orbiter images, now public, had revealed tantalizing hints, geometric patterns etched into the icy surface, patches of nickel alloy arranged with an unnatural precision. Scientists were divided, some calling it the greatest discovery in human history, others urging caution against premature conclusions. Meanwhile, radio telescopes continued to scan the skies, searching for any sign that 3E Atlas might be part of a larger network, a fleet of silent watchers drifting through the galaxy. The idea seemed like science fiction, yet the data refused to dismiss it outright. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars appeared, I received a cryptic message from an anonymous source. It contained coordinates that pointed not to distant stars but to a small, uncharted asteroid within our own solar system. Alongside it was a single phrase: "The visitor left something behind." My heart pounded as I realized this was no coincidence. The story of 3E Atlas was far from over. Gathering my coat and flashlight, I stepped into the night, the weight of the unknown pressing down like the cold air around me. Somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, lay the next chapter of a cosmic mystery that could change everything. And as I looked up at the stars, I knew one thing for certain. The universe was watching us, and it was waiting. The adventure had only just begun.